my mic on. Hello. Okay. First of all, I want to say thank you all for being here. We appreciate each and every one of y'all for coming every chance y'all get to come to our council meeting, because you never know what's going on with the city unless you come to the meetings. A lot of times you can watch it on YouTube and stuff, but sometimes something goes wrong with the internet, and the best way to do it is just come to the meetings. Okay? If y'all would please stand for prayer. I want to do a special prayer tonight for Frida Bass. She is in the hospital, or she's got out now. She was in the hospital with a heart attack, and she's not doing real well. They couldn't fix anything for her heart because it's in bad shape. So Mr. Bass is out tonight to be with his wife while she's at home. And I also want to do a special prayer for Gene, our waterworks department, and his family, because he lost a son. And so today he is home on a special special time to be with the family. Okay, so special prayers for them. Lord God, thank you for everything that you do for us. We commit this meeting to you, Lord. Come and reveal your will in every aspect of our life and ministry. And as we discuss the affairs of this meeting, we ask for your will to be done. Show us your purposes, Lord. Enlighten us that we may know how you want us to accomplish our task tonight. We desire your glory and blessings in all we do. Direct our thoughts, words, decisions, and actions toward the right path, and help us stay on track, Lord. Let your will be done as we plan and make decisions on this agenda. In the precious name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Please stand for the national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, indivisible. Thank you. Y'all may have a seat. Okay, I'm going to do roll call. Tonight, to my right, we have Councilman Griffin and Councilman Prater. And to my left, we have Councilman Wiggins and Councilman McGruer and our city administrator, Kent Manton. And then in the audience, we have our city code enforcer, Thomas Arnold. We have our chief of police, Michael Dorsey. We have Pam Combs, our city secretary. And we have Danielle McGruer, court clerk. And I think that's it. Thank you all again for being here. And we hope this meeting goes well tonight and everybody's pleased with everything that goes on. Okay? Number 2, any community announcements?
Well, Mayor, Council, citizens, we got a few for you this coming month. It is a busy April and May. We have a National Day of Prayer. It's going to take place right here at City Hall next week, next Thursday, May 4th at 6 p.m. Welcome to come join us with that one. Joyce McLaughlin is the one coordinating all that. Have several guest speakers coming up to just kind of tag team some prayers for our local community, our nation, our state, and all sorts of different categories. May 5th, and I think there's one more date in May, but I believe I missed it. First Baptist Eddy is doing a food bank for anybody in the community from 5 to 7. This is an off branch of Lorena's food bank. Roll-off trash collection date is 5/13. As a reminder, bulk and brushy can go out to your curbs now. Just give us a phone call, schedule that. We'll give you some more specific instructions on what can and can't go out there. 5/17, we kick off our Spring Fest. Big thank you to the McGruer family and everybody who is helping coordinate these events. The first event will be exhibition softball game between the coaches at the high school and coaches of the Little League Association. Then on May 19th, we have a concert on the Green. I don't remember who the headliner is on that one. What was her name again?
She's
I know
a
it's-
Serena girl.
It's a
Local.
lady from Lorena.
That's right.
Kristen Kelly.
Kristen Kelly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowiggins. Then on 5/20 will be Springfest. That's the big day. We kick things off with a parade in the morning. Lots of activities for the whole family, so come out and join us. And then lastly, the county, precinct number 1 is going to be sponsoring a tire amnesty / trash day. So as long as you bring a residential bill or driver's license, you can get rid of up to 6 tires and some hazardous materials as well.
All right. Anybody have anything else they'd like to add to this or any questions about it? Okay, we'll go on. Citizens presentation. Excuse me. The City Council welcomes public comments at this point on items not specifically listed on the agenda. Speakers must sign up before the meeting begins. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes each. The council cannot respond to matters not listed on the agenda until a future meeting. Do we have anybody that signed up? Okay, we'll move on. Okay, number 4, it's Police Chief Dorsey with his report. Chief? It's about time. I'm sorry, I had to do that to her. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Sorry,
you're fine,
Chief.
ma'am. Okay, for March 2023, over at the police department, we had 131 calls for service. We generated a total of 20 reports to include arrest, offense, and incident. Total of 5 crash reports, citations, and warnings. Totals 275, breaks down to 214 citations and 61 warnings. Also, my report for the council, I have our detailed citation and warning data. Also, for the month of March, security checks, we conducted 260. School zone enforcement, total of 18, and then directed traffic enforcement, where we concentrate on specific areas, we had a total of 98. Also in our report, we have the detailed call type report that gives the different types of calls and things that we responded to for the month. Also my report, I'd like to share Officer Basie's report for the school resource officer. For the month of March, he had 1 call for service, conducted 192 security checks around the school campus, citations and warnings, 1 citation. And then also we participated on March 14th. We did a presentation in front of the high school student body on drugs, alcohol, bullying, and other school-related offenses. That's something that's done once a year. So we did that presentation to the high school. And I think that's all I got.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions or anything, concerns? Okay. Thank you, Chief. We appreciate you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Oh, by the way, I was told by Russell Wiggins to tell you he appreciates you and the department very, very well, because during that first storm with all the hail and stuff, he had no way of getting to safety, and you come and got him. So he wanted to thank you.
My pleasure to do that, and I'm happy to do it to anybody that needs help.
Yeah.
So,
Well, he wanted me to personally thank you
Thank you,
tonight's
ma'am.
meeting.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay. Number 5 is the Public Works Director's report. As I said, Gene is not here tonight because he took a personal day because this was his child's birthday that passed away. And Johnny was not available to come to the meeting tonight. So Mr. Manning and I will answer any questions that anyone has. If it's something that does not have to be answered tonight, then we can email first thing tomorrow and get a hold of Gene and get everybody's questions answered. So if anybody has any questions that we might could answer, we'll be honored to. Mr. Wiggins.
I don't know if it's more or less a statement, but if you look at the water loss and you'll see that it's up from last month's report by 923,701 gallons with an increase of 1.91% loss, but the number of fixed leaks is 31 versus 10 for last month. So for March, we fixed 21 more leaks than we did in February, but had more water loss, which, is understandable. So I'm gonna say a good job to these guys for finding these leaks.
Yes, sir. They worked real hard last month, doing lots and lots of water leaks.
And on the street repairs, I noticed that, they did street repairs there in March, and, I would like for them to look at 3 streets, North Osborne, and, that's the street there that, Mr. Bass's, storage facilities on. It's got some bad potholes. And then the Hungry Hill and Eagle Drive, right there, basically from the school back around toward Temple Street.
Yes, sir. Those are pretty bad. But when we was doing our street committee thing, we talked about most of these on Hungry Hill and stuff, and they are working on them. It's just a matter of finances, getting the money to get the stuff. We have got McLennan County that has helped us with a lot of the roads and stuff. Is that not right, Mr. Manning?
That's
I'll
correct,
let you
Mayor.
take over on that.
Oh, sure. We actually do have a discussion later on in the night about Hungry Hill and some of the roads. Do you want to
Okay.
postpone
Oh,
that
okay.
until then?
Yeah, these streets I'm talking about are just need patching.
Patching. Yes, sir.
only
Okay.
Patching. They don't need, the whole street don't need to be redone.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Need some patching done.
Okay.
Potholes.
Yes, sir.
Good to go. We got them down.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's
Okay.
all I had.
All right. Anybody else have anything on the water department? Okay, if not, we will move on. Okay, court administrator, this report here we only do it quarterly, and for each quarter. And so Kent, you got this one covered?
Well, I'll try to answer any questions that anybody does have, but this one was just Esther's report, just trying to show the relationship between those citations that do come in and how that kind of plays out in the court system. You can see here that, some of them do get dismissed. A lot of those fees don't even land here at the city. It actually ends up going to the state's coffers directly, so.
Okay, one moment. Pam?
Yeah, we skipped 6.
Oh, the engineer's report? Yeah, I'll come back. Yeah, I seen that, but I was gonna come back to it. Sorry about that. Okay. Anybody else have any questions about the court administrator's quarterly report?
No, I like that.
Okay.
I like it. Good job.
All right. Okay, now we're gonna go back to 6 since I missed it. The engineer's report. And Kent?
So, Mayor, Council, on this one, we've got a report from Tabor and Associates on the wastewater system. MRB Group is working on a more formal report to start including with us each month. Right now, they just updated us on the 2 water meter studies that they performed and then the 1 plat that they reviewed. Other than that, they've been helping us with our electrical engineering research to get our wells back online. Also on that one, they're working on a proposal that should be wrapped up by the end of this week for building out a GIS system based on that water hydraulic analysis that we had done in November. This is something that they're going to need to help inform any new additional upgrades to our water system, to include anybody who wants to add a water meter to the system. This informs this on whether or not we can provide that and still meet all the TCEQ requirements.
Mr. Wiggins?
Well, one thing here on their report, right there, it says we're waiting on signature pages from the city that must be included in the renewal application. And this was dated 4/17. Have we done that?
Yes, sir. Those were provided on Monday.
Mr. McGurr?
Now, I understand there was a meeting, the 24th, is that what you were talking about? I'm sorry, I'm looking up here on.
Oh, yes.
A new wastewater system?
Yes, on number
'Cause
one.
I looked back in the minutes, I went way back, and I stopped looking in September of last year, and it seems like. it's almost
Mr.
a
McGurr, if you
Xerox.
get closer to your mic,
Each
please.
statement here, we're waiting on USDA.
Closer to your mic, Mr. McGurr.
I'm sorry, I forgot we were using these. Okay. Okay, I was looking on here in the new wastewater system. It seems like we've been waiting on USDA rural development. Was that discussed during this meeting on the 24th? And why are we waiting since last September on USDA? We need to kick this down the road.
So we have been waiting on USDA for quite some time now. The ball was in our court, I would say, up until, September or October or so. The meeting on the 24th was to discuss with USDA, BVRT, Tabor, myself, and the mayor. We were discussing some contingencies to fund the sewer system because we know it's going to come in much higher than anticipated, from those quotes 5 years ago, and even from those updated quotes in 2020. I asked Terry a few weeks ago, and then we did re-ask her on Monday how things are going with the legal review. And basically the answer we got on that one, correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, was she's followed up with the legal team, and there is a backlog
They are
in the
very
system.
backlogged, yeah.
And she will let us know when she hears more on that one. Myself and the mayor actually just reached out to our congressional representative's office yesterday, and we should be having a meeting with them on this matter, hopefully tomorrow or early next week to see if they can help us with this federal agency a little bit. Because I think Terry honestly is really doing everything she can, but the bureaucracy of the process has just gotten this whole thing tied down.
Okay, yeah, because it just seems like the approval process is taking way longer than it should.
Yeah, she told us, she said it can either come in tomorrow or it can be 30 days from now. But they're just backlogged and they're just waiting on that decision so we can start taking bids.
But their 90 days, it was gonna be 30 to 90 days, and their 90 days was up.
Yes, sir. We talked to her about that also, and she is working on that also.
Right, I mean, I don't understand why we can't reach out to someone that's above her, and I know I did y'all the
That,
phone number.
yeah,
I mean,
that's why we're reaching out to the representative. Yes, sir. We are.
A representative, what do you mean? You mean a
tell
state
you.
representative? I don't-
No, sir. U.S. Representative Pete Sessions' office. Since this is a federal agency, we're
Yeah,
trying to
federal.
see if we can't get some movement with him and his team, reaching out to see if we can be expedited. Because I mean, yes, we've had the pandemic in there. Yes, we had some issues in obtaining property rights for this project. But ultimately, this project is in the 6th year now since originally signing that notice of intent to proceed in 2017. So we really got to get the ball rolling on this one. And I know you've provided us with some contact information as well, and I certainly intend to follow up on that one.
All right. Any more?
Okay, because I think you might get some satisfaction by calling that person I give you with USDA.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Anybody else have any other questions on this? Okay. All right, so we will move on to Thomas Arnold, the Community Development Report. Thomas? Am I too loud?
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Council members, nice to meet y'all, see y'all. March 2023 report for code enforcement, building inspections, and permitting. Number of code enforcement cases active at the start of the month was 62. 13 closed, 31 new. Total current active is 80. Types, number and types, 7 dangerous buildings, high grass and weeds, 8. No permits, 4. Distance requirements for livestock, fowl, and bees, 2. 1 septic system, 2 cargo containers, 8 junk vehicles, and 48 rubbish. Number of building permits issued and type 10 permits for the month of March. 3 fence, 1 full remodel, 3 accessory buildings, 1 new manufactured home, and 1 new single-family residence, and 1 garage sale. Burn permits, we had 10 for the month of March. Inspections, only 6 inspections for the month of March, 1 plumbing, 2 water yard lines, 1 electric service, and 2 foundation. And I managed to put in about 25 hours for facility maintenance. Anybody have any questions, concerns for me?
No, sir, I don't think so. Thank you very
Thank
much, Mr. Arnold. Okay, city administrators report, Kent Manton.
All right, everybody. So the first note on here was the sewer system. So since we kind of already talked about that, I'll skip over that. Pretty much just a rehash of what we were talking about on the grant and funding opportunities. So happy to say that our CDBG grant was submitted yesterday afternoon. A lot of legwork went into getting that application, and we met the eligibility requirements for that water line replacement by 0.1%. So I said, is that going to affect our chances of getting this grant? He said, no, that's a yes or no thing. So now that we're eligible, we should have a good case, and our grant administrator mentioned that he wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get phone calls this summer. However, the award will not be until maybe November of 2023 or November of 2024. So now we're just kind of playing the waiting game on that project. On another note, I have submitted the city for a grant from T-Mobile under their Hometown Grants program for the purpose of purchasing a playground structure. These grants are up to $50,000. That would allow us to purchase a simple playground structure, although it wouldn't provide the volunteer work. So I'll just say, just go ahead and put it out there. You know, if we do end up getting this, you know, you're more than welcome to come out and help us get this thing in the ground, wherever that may be. But just wanted to throw our hat on that, see if we couldn't get anything going as far as a playground. I think that'd be a good idea. Our Transportation Alternatives Grant project for the sidewalk along Eagle Drive was selected to move forward with an official grant application via TxDOT. Scott Murrah of 5M Associates will now begin the process of preparing an application for council's review and consideration. As a reminder, if council should decide to move forward with this grant application, it would be due for submission in June of 2023. And I'm told that the awards for this funding would not be named until late 2023. And then lastly, I did reach out to our county judge and county administrator to inquire about some of the ARPA funding that was mentioned in the paper last week. A lot of different water systems. We're getting some upgrades for electrical reliability generators and that sort. They're supposed to be getting back to me to see if City of Bruceville-Eddy ever submitted an application for that. I just don't have that information. But there is a possibility that some of this funding that's going out to these smaller systems, they may not have the ability to actually spend that all because this is the amount of funding that they're getting and this is the new project cost, right? So if that money doesn't get allocated to them, then McLennan County wants to make sure that that stays within the county, and we may have an opportunity to pick up some of that at that point.
Because I don't think we'd have any problem spending it.
It's a lot harder than you think to spend money. Our TCU&Q inspection, kudos to our entire Public Works team, administrative staff, Danielle, Laura, Pam, Esther, the mayor. We all had a hand in making sure that this was a success. I was certainly expecting a few hits, you know, that's just kind of always the process with these inspections, but as the inspector was leaving the office, we had nothing to note. A few minor paperwork issues and that we had to follow up on, but that was it. So again, a big kudos to Gene and his team for getting everything out in the field and to Laura and Danielle for getting all the paperwork ready in the office. Appreciate y'all. Citizen customer engagement. So just reiterating on this Savvy Citizen, we launched a big push here with staff at our last meeting, kind of offered some incentives to get folks kind of continuing to engage with our residents, every interaction that we have. We're going to be shooting for a goal of 850 subscribers by the end of the fiscal year. I got some cool prizes that I'm personally going to be handling out. It's a group goal, so if we all get to that 850 mark, got some gift cards and a few other incentives to hand out as a part of that.
What do we have now? How many do we have?
We have 653 last time I checked.
Okay.
So got quite a few to get. TxDOT updates. So just so everybody knows, TxDOT, they have completed some of our recent maintenance requests. They're currently working on a few others for us. For starters, you'll notice that there's no parking in the right-of-way signs that have been placed in front of the Bruceville-Eddy RV Park. This was a request on behalf of the owner over there. They were having some visibility issues as residents were trying to pull out, not being able to see oncoming traffic. Also, those big trucks over there were just starting to leave some big ruts, you know, that's doing some damage, leaving water standing for mosquitoes, all that fun stuff. They've also corrected several of our damaged signs, and they will be working through a contractor to get our southbound city limit sign on I-35 moved to its proper location before the Woodlawn overpass. Apparently, this was a project that hadn't been done, that needed to have been done a few years ago, apparently. So kudos to Waylon Pilgreen and Mark Cedillo for their assistance with these issues. On the development front, I think a couple things might have changed since I actually sent this out. It happens that quick. We are currently working actively here at the city to get a few properties rezoned along the I-35 corridor, just to kind of help some of these projects move along. We've got Creed and Ascent Travel. Again, they're both trying to do those travel centers down there in Falls County where the old KCN-TV was. Those properties came into the city limits and they immediately became agriculture. The way that the city ordinances are set up is that agricultural property stays like that until somebody requests it or the city requests it to be rezoned. And that first one is going to be at no cost, right? So we weren't losing any money on this one, but we just wanted to take a step out of the process, prevent any more barriers, because we knew that they were going to need to get it to general business before they could start actually, you know, turning dirt on that. K-Bar and Eagle Ranch. So I did have some conversations with them this week. They are of the mindset now that they're just going to move forward with a decision to build out in the ETJ. So we should be seeing a plat of some sort from them over the next couple months. The MUD on the Municipal Utility District, I did see where there was legislation filed in the Texas House for that one as of 4/12. It looks like it was sitting in committee last time I checked. And I believe that is all I have for you.
All right. Anybody have any questions or comments on this? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Manton, for your report. Okay, number 10, consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda will be considered by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate decisions of these items unless a council member or a member of the public so request. And those are approval of the minutes. Council will discuss, consider, and probably take action to approve the minutes from the March 23rd, 2023 City Council meeting. B, finances, March the 23rd, council to discuss, consider, and probably take action to approve the March 23rd financial report of the General Water and Sewer Fund. And C, council to discuss, consider, and probably take action on approving March the 23rd accounts payable for the General Water and Sewer Fund accounts. Mr. Wiggins.
I'll make a motion that we approve this consent agenda. Items, which is item A and B, and A and B.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. Mr. McGruer seconded. Okay, all in favor? Unanimous, thank you, gentlemen. Okay. Number 11, new building for Bruceville-Eddy Volunteer Fire Department. A, approval for structure, council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on a request made by the Bruceville-Eddy Volunteer Fire Department to erect a new building at their expense on property owned by the city of Bruceville-Eddy adjacent to their currently occupied fire station, the purpose of which is for the storage of vehicles as well as dedicated training spaces. Butch, do you have any thing you want to say about this?
I'd like to explain it, why we're looking for this.
Okay,
and
if
what
you
it
would,
is.
thank you.
And the dark blue proposed building, what we want to do is put a 4-bay parking.
You have a
building,
laser there if you
metal
need it.
structure. Because right now I have, in the current building, I have 7 vehicles in a 6-bay building and plus 1 vehicle outside. So we want to make room for the vehicles. So we plan on putting 4 over there in the new building and then open up a couple bays in the old building so we can have a formal training room and meeting room. Right now, we have no place for training other than pull vehicles out and put some chairs and tables up and put everything back. So we like to have a formal training area where we
Thank
can do more training. And my purpose for tonight really is just to get approval to use that land from the city. And then as we go forward with what the building plans, we'll come back with that. And
All right.
that's really all I have. Is,
Okay.
you know, to
I'm
get
gonna
the
go
use of
ahead
land
and,
maybe we'd like to see agreement with the city on that, with the current land and the proposed land that we're looking for, and for
Okay.
future use down the line with the new councils and new mayors and so forth.
That would
Yes,
be a
sir.
great goal.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's about all I have.
Anybody have anything they want to say about this? Anybody want to make a motion? Okay. Oh, Mr. Wiggins?
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the Bruceville-Eddy Volunteer Fire Department to erect a new building at their expense on property owned by the city of Bruceville-Eddy adjacent to their currently occupied fire station. And also to waive the permitting fees required for the erection of a new building for the fire department.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. Mr. Prater, second that. And that is to let the fire department to erect a new building at their expense on property owned by the city of Bruceville-Eddy, adjoining to their current occupied fire station, the purpose of which to have a storage of vehicles and spaces for training, and also to waive the permitting fees required for the erection of a new building for Bruceville-Eddy Volunteer Fire Department. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay. Number 12, Hungry Hill Road. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on current efforts to address street deterioration in the section of Hungry Hill Road adjacent to and heavily trafficked by servicing trucks en route to Helium Chemical Company's facilities. Okay, Mr. Wiggins.
Okay, if you want to go ahead and talk and then I'll.
Sure. Sounds good, sir. All right, so Hungry Hill Road. Just wanted to give a quick update to anybody who might have missed it. We did have a street repair committee that met several times over this fiscal year. We had quite a bit of buy-in from a couple citizens, council members, staff members. We gauged some of the roads around town to see which ones were in poor condition, which ones were going to be somewhat minimally affected by the sewer coming down the road. And those 6 streets were selected for road repairs, and it was actually passed a couple sessions ago here at council. Might have been back in March. Whew, it's all running together to me now. But McLennan County does plan on moving forward with those complete overhauls of the roads. They were planning on doing it spring, early summer, somewhere in the next couple of months. They did have several other entities that they're going to be performing some work for. So on that note, I did reach out to McLennan County, the foreman over there, to discuss some of the issues with Hungry Hill Road. He is unfortunately also dealing with a family medical issue, so he wasn't able to discuss this at this time. But we are currently working with Helena. That was something that the budget committee kind of discussed, was actually having a conversation with Helena and looking at what solutions might we be able to come together on to prevent this road from continually being damaged. As you can see the pictures there, this road is in rough condition, and we definitely know that. The public works crews, that we've gone over there to Hungry Hill, attempted to fix this with our cold mix, to little success. And matter of fact, it might have just made things worse. We actually got several complaints about the way we repaired it, and let more complaints from the fix, sadly, than the actual just leaving it alone. So our budget for street repairs this year has been completely allocated and will actually probably go up a little bit over, just so everybody's on the same page with that. Danielle, do you mind going for one more on it? So some of the items that we're bringing to the table for discussion once we do get Helena on board, and I think I failed to mention that Helena right now, this is just the busiest time of the year for them. They've got a lot of fertilizer going out the door. Corn crops going in is what they've said. Cotton crops going in. So they respectfully said, yes, we would love to be able to discuss this with you and the mayor, but it's just going to be a little bit of time. So in addition to that one, we want to bring in not only the local plant manager, but also the regional manager, since we're going to be talking probably some financials here, and that can't be done apparently at the local level. So some of those items that are on the table for discussion, we want to see if there's some process changes that we can do just to prevent trucks from going down Hungry Hill altogether, right? Maybe some spending jointly or singularity on a long-term fix here. We would ultimately, I think, would like to see this road outfitted with a stronger base and a much better overlay, because this chip seal just obviously cannot hold it, the weight of these vehicles. And then lastly, enforcement, right? We do have a current ordinance in place. It's been around since, say, 2010 or so, and it prohibits a gross weight vehicle from exceeding 21,000 pounds on Hungry Hill. Well, as you can see on that last little bullet point there, the typical weight of an unladed semi-truck is about 35,000 pounds, with a low-end estimate of 25,000 pounds. So I think it's safe to assume that every truck that goes down Hungry Hill Road is in violation of our ordinance.
Even our cattle trucks.
And then, Danielle, can you go one more forward? The problem is that the city does not have any scales to verify the weight and enforcement. That's a key piece of evidence we would need to actually push any enforcement through the court system. Chief has mentioned that DPS could potentially assist us with this one. I don't know how much free time they would actually be able to have to come and commit to enforcing some of our road ordinances. But then I just wanted to go ahead and throw this out there. Well, you know, we're trying to have a conversation with Helena because, you know, they are a part of the community. They've been there for a long time. We don't want to come out there with just a heavy enforcement, approach to this. They're a major contributor to our sales and property tax. Currently, their sales tax are all paid up. I just recently checked that. But the property taxes they pay each year, or at least in 2022, was about $15,000 there. So they're definitely on our top 10 list of property taxpayers. So my recommendation and my current plan of action, unless council changes course on this one, is to continue to get this meeting established, hopefully in May, bring back potential solutions to council for discussion, and to rope these financial considerations into our conversations with the budget committee.
Yes. Okay. Mr. Wiggins?
Okay, if you can see in that picture there about where that tree is, probably maybe a little, this side of it is a bridge. And to me, I think we'd be better just if we could see about getting the county in there to just tear that, take that asphalt plumb up and then just put down road base right in there and for the time being. And as far as meeting with Helena in May, I mean, they're still gonna be busy then. It's gonna be see what they think and see if they can think it would, they've probably seen this stuff before, probably Mr. Smith, the commissioner, and maybe what he thinks about the county coming in and just tearing that up and putting the road base down and packing it down and see the cost of that. And then also, when we do go back, see what, to me, I think if you're gonna go back and fix it right, you just go back concrete, probably up, maybe up to that bridge, or just a little past where Helena turns in. Because if it's asphalt, you're gonna run into the same problem down the road. But if you go ahead and put the concrete in, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive, but it's kinda like out here, our parking area, you know, we'll never have to mess with that.
Yes, sir.
I would like to see us do something to try to help the issue up there. I know, you know, as you can see there, we've patched some potholes. Well, that patching might not be the best, but it's better than dropping off in a hole.
Amen.
my
Yes, sir.
That's true.
Yeah, well, we can reach out to the county and see, have them let us know what they think about it too. We will
Sure.
do that, sir.
I have talked to Mr. Smith about it, and I do plan on following up with the foreman to get a quote on this, but just so everybody's aware, you know, that budget is completely allocated for the year. So I don't have another pocket to put this in, and furthermore, the county does all their work for roads through an interlocal agreement, and as you remember, that takes a couple months process to get the quoting done and everything,
Right,
so.
but you gotta get the ball rolling.
Yes, sir.
And if, you know, we got budget coming up, so we could get the ball rolling.
Absolutely.
And then that way, come budget time, we would know about what it would cost in order to budget for it.
Yes, sir,
Yeah. Well,
absolutely.
Mr. Smith has been contacted about it, and we're just now going to do a follow-up on it and see what's going to happen.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, all right. Okay, do we have any action on this?
Oh, well,
Mr. Wiggins?
yes, I'd like to make a motion that, to see that we follow through, that let's get with, Mr. Smith, our county commissioner, and see what the county would charge us to come from about that bridge back toward, Highway 7 to tear that up and put road base down.
Okay, all right. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Mr. Prater seconded. All right, that the city will follow, Mr. Manton, put it all on him, will follow up with Mr. Smith about tearing the road, taking the road, the asphalt up and putting roadways down to take care of the stuff close to the bridge towards Highway 7. Okay. All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Okay. Invoice review and approval. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on an invoice from Core and Main LP in the amount of $4,510 for the payment of Neptune 360 electronic meter reading software. This amount exceeds the authority of the city administrator for expenditure approval, which is currently set at $2,000.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll speak briefly on this one here. We did have an unexpected cost for our meter reading software. It's increased due, and I'll try my best on here because IT, I mean, I've got the basics down, but some of it goes a little bit over me. And speaking of that, we do have a rep on standby if y'all have any specific questions. But so the cost for the meter reading software has increased due to a migration from our legacy software that we are currently on, that I think we signed up for when we bought the meters. However, phase outs with some Microsoft products and Adobe Flash has resulted in the functionality of this software no longer being supported, so everything's moving over to Neptune 360. So I did speak with Mr. Rabroker again on this matter, and he has assured me that the price for this will remain the same for this maintenance of the software for the next 3 years. And he's offered this to us through a verbal agreement since we're one of his preferred customers, even if it means he has to end up eating a little bit of the cost on it. Daniel, if you'll go one more on me. Okay, so I would say here that our cost savings for having these meters is still significant. You know, this is time saved, more accurate meters, our ability to showcase water usage trends to customers. I mean, we each month probably have 2 or 3 customers who just don't realize they have a leak until they get that bill. And then we're able to go in there and let them know, hey, yeah, your toilet's been running at all hours. You know, I can see water usage at 2 and 3 a.m. So they're like, oh, yeah, obviously that's not me doing that. We do still have debt outstanding on these water meters, so that's something to keep in mind. But the water rate increase that council made the decision to move forward with a few months ago it helps soften these unexpected costs. So my recommendation on this one is to approve.
Mr. Wiggins?
Okay, I would like to state that, you know, back in February, at our February 13th, 2020 meeting, that's when we purchased all these meters, and that Ms. Ray Broker was the one that presented it, and I specifically asked her at the time if it would work with our current system that we had, and she said yes, and I said, would it cost us anything? And she said no. And now here we've been paying for something, and from last year it was like $2,600, and now we're looking at $4,000 here. 4,500, I'm sorry, $4,500, and I mean, it's 3 years old, and it's already getting out of date.
That was over at the other, when we had our, City Hall was over there is when that happened, wasn't it, Mr. Wiggins? When she come and showed us those meters and stuff?
Yes, that's correct. Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So I just, and I understand, I talked with Ken about it, and he said it was like a maintenance fee.
Yes, sir. So this is kind of the dues we pay each year just to have that functionality with Neptune 360. Allows us to go around all those smart meters, and it, you know, pulls all the information and compiles that for Laura to send out the water bills. So it's going to be a charge that doesn't ever go away with the smart meters, but we certainly weren't expecting it to nearly double like this.
Right. I mean, is there someone else, I mean, obviously we're gonna have to pay it, but is Core and Main, we spend lots of money, a lot. Are they the only person that we can buy water supplies from? They can't be.
No, sir, I do not believe they're the only ones we can buy from.
Okay.
There's other vendors.
Well, I'd like to check with other vendors and see, you know, you can, when you check with these other vendors, you can kind of let them know kind of what we've been doing and see if maybe they might be more competitive. Court Main has been sitting here gigging us for a long time now. And it's time for we to see about getting a little competitive toward them.
I have a question I wanted to ask on that. Okay, have we paid anything to them in the past 3 years?
For this maintenance software?
Uh-huh.
Yes, ma'am. That's what Mr. Wiggins was just talking
I know,
about.
but,
$2,600.
I know, but I mean, not this much a year, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, last year was a little over $2,600.
Yeah, and then this year
And I'm
was
not
45.
sure, you know, like I said, I know what she told us.
Yeah, she said it wasn't gonna cost us anything.
Yeah.
I was on the
And now it's
council at
coming
that
up
time.
with a fee here. Now, maybe they might twist it around and call it some other kind of fee. You know, I don't know, I just don't like it. And as much as we do business, as much money as we spend at Core and Main, I think, you know what, let's check it. I mean, we're obviously we have to do this, so I will make a motion that to approve this, software for $4,510, with, Core and Main for the,
I'll second
Mr. McGruer?
Yeah.
Okay.
but in the same hand, I'm gonna make a motion also for Kent to check with other vendors that maybe could supply us like Core and Main does.
It-
And see what their cost.
Just a point of information on that one, yeah. So you're specifically looking for another quote on the Neptune 360 software for the smart meters, or are you looking just in general for all of our supplies, fittings,
For all of
pipes,
our-
all the things we buy for them?
all of our supplies and this.
Okay.
But in the meantime, we've got to operate, so we've got to do this. But as much money as we spend with them, and then they want to come and gig us for that $4,500, let's see if we can find somebody else.
All right, so we have made a motion to pay the invoice to Core and Main LP in the amount of $4,510 for the payment of Neptune 360 electronic meter reader software, and also for the city administrator to check with other vendors to see if, what they can offer us for all this also. Is that correct? Okay.
it. Second.
All right, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, number 14. Proposal for the rental registration / inspection program. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on the creation of a rental registration and/or inspection ordinance. Council will hear a presentation from the staff of the feasibility, legality, and the potential benefits, consequences associated with the establishment said program. What's a tongue twister? Request for authorization of city staff to move forward with engaging with stakeholders and report back finding to council for further deliberation.
Thank you, Mayor. So the rental registration and inspection program. So this is something that myself and Thomas Arnold have been talking about. He actually came up with this idea, brought it to me. We've had some complaints about some of our rental properties in the city being of, say, a substandard nature. So I'll just kind of go through some slides here, and then myself and Thomas will be able to answer any questions. Tonight, we're not specifically looking for any other action than to whether or not to allow us to move down this route, to continue to research, continue to engage with our stakeholders, those property owners, the landlords, get some feedback from them, and then come back to you with some more information. So right now, the city does not currently regulate rental properties. We don't have any inventory to know how many properties exist currently, but a program could take several different forms. There's all sorts of different cities that do this a little bit differently. It could be just a registration program where we just do a one-time fee, kind of are aware of the properties in the city, make that inventory list. That way, if we have any issues with them, we can go and address that. It can also be an inspection program or a combination of both of those. The inspection programs would take place at the point of tenant change, or potentially when a rental is created, a one-time, say, inspection on that one. But it allows the code enforcer to go inside the home and actually make sure that the inside of the house is compliant with all of our current regulations. So we're not trying to create any new building codes that have to be followed here. It just gives staff an opportunity to actually have some eyes on the inside. And I'll kind of go into the benefits on that a little bit further here. This is something that's typically seen in more established communities. I wasn't really able to see a whole lot of the smaller general law A cities that had this. But just to mention here that this does not address any short-term rentals, Airbnbs, Verbos. We're not creating any rules or inspections for them. And from my research on that, I'm not currently seeing any located in BE. So some of the pros of a program like this, it provides a path for neighbors should there be any issues with rental properties that are abutting them, right? It gives us an opportunity to go out there for a complaint inspection. It provides a path for tenants. Should they have any issues with that property owner, they're not seeing any action by just giving them a call. They're not seeing any action through the court system. Maybe they're kind of gummed up in that situation. So we can actually come out there and try to have a conversation with those property owners and move some of the maybe repairs that are needed along. This can also, you can't talk about a program like this without talking about the money aspect, right? This could also provide a revenue stream that could be used to pay for not just the code enforcement's budget, but it could also be used to address substandard property in the city. Right now we have several issues that we're aware of. However, we can only go up to a certain point on enforcement with those issues because we don't have the money budgeted to actually go in and abate that if the city had to do so. Some of the cons on this, of course, any of the costs for enforcement could actually be offset by the landlord. They just push that cost off onto the tenants in the form of increased rent. And this may also have the potential of creating an unintended barrier for, say, more affordable rental options in the community. One thing to note here, I think I kind of previously touched on it, but home rule charter cities, those more established communities, are well within the rights to establish a program like this. We have not yet researched this through the city attorney's office to see just the legality of a program being created for a general law A city. That is a question we would need to have answered. So the staff recommendation here again is to hear council's feedback, hear citizens' feedback, request the ability to move forward with speaking with our attorney and engaging stakeholders on the creation of this program. Going a little bit further into this, what could it be? So it would be, like I said, a proactive inspection program for multifamily residential rental properties in the city of Bruceville-Eddy. It's based on those property maintenance codes already adopted here in BE. What could it do? It could require all those rentals to register annually, tenant change, one time. It allows the code enforcement to go inside those living spaces. Why is it needed? Well, it ensures safe, clean living quarters for tenants and property owners. It will set a new standard for quality and cleanliness, increase property values potentially, reduces the number of substandard structures, will greatly reduce the risk of any potential for catastrophic fires, So let's look a little bit at the current process and proposed process. So right now, no city inspections. The initial CO that we do on a property, that could have been done 20, 30 years ago. And we haven't had an opportunity as a city to go back inside these buildings. HUD inspections, they only cover a few limited options, and obviously those are only for those folks who are applying for assistance through, say, a voucher Section 8 program. And then on the proactive side of this one here, I think I touched on some of these here, but it would give us a hand to make sure that landlords are coming into compliance or they would be, subject to that enforcement.
Okay, Mr. Wiggins has a question.
You betcha.
Well, Mr. McGruer had his hand up
Okay, Mr. McGruer?
Okay,
first.
on the code inspection part of it, and you're gonna go in and inspect these rental properties, I'm sorry, and you're gonna inspect these rental properties, is there gonna be a requirement that they bring them up to current code because you're going in to inspect those, or is it gonna be, like, if I own my house for 10 years, whatever the code was 10 years ago is the current code until I do something to change that house?
Correct. And no, that's not what this is going to do. It's to basically make sure that landlords are keeping the houses safe and not just updated code or past codes. It's to prevent them from having leaks and things of that nature that can be overlooked or that tenants can't get landlords to fix. It's not an inspection on well, you don't have GFCI protectors, or you don't have this or that for 2021 code or 2020 NEC code. It's not targeting that, no.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Wiggins?
Yes, well, right now, probably a lot of people, some people that have rental houses take care of it themselves. And some of them that don't, they have real estate, people that go out and that's what they do. Is go out when somebody moves out and they go inspect it and whatever it needs, then they make sure it's up to date. I feel like here that we're trying to police them, and I don't think we need to be doing that. I mean, we can be looking out the outside and see if they're mowing their yards and keeping it in compliance with our ordinances, but as far as going on, as far as telling that person that owns that rent house that they have to let us in there and inspect their house that they rent, I don't agree with that.
I got it.
But wouldn't that be, Mr. Arnold, that if, say, a renter called and says, I cannot get the landlord to fix anything, I'm falling through the floors, there's this and that and this and that, and then they invite you in, then that gives you an opportunity to talk to the landlord? Is that what this is about?
It's hard dealing with already issues that are already there.
okay.
As a code enforcement officer and as a building inspector, even if somebody invites me in and shows me issues, it is extremely hard to get the owner of the property to abate the issue now, then and now. They're wanting to charge the renter, or this type of program would prevent things from building up. It wouldn't, it's not designed to target anybody. It's strictly designed to keep houses safe and livable.
All right. Say I'm a slumlord myself. I'm going to use me as an example. Say I'm a slumlord. What will that do to me? Do you inspect it before I rent it out?
Yes.
Okay, you would inspect it before I rent it out to Mr. Smith, and before Mr. Smith, when he wants to rent my slumlord property, you would be coming out there to look and go, well, this sewer needs to be drained, or
Correct.
or you need to fix the plumbing in this. Is that correct? Am I saying that
Yes, ma'am.
correctly? Okay. Mrs. Pam?
We do have someone that rents houses out where the people that rented it got there and they didn't even have an electric home, the electricity was hooked up. One of them also, the guys turned the water on in the kitchen and the water was shooting up in the air because they didn't have a kitchen sink.
Oh, wow.
So that's the ones you
That's
need.
that's the ones that you would.
Yes.
Well, a lot of people have to take it upon themselves before they rent something to go check it out. What they're renting and what they're going to be paying for. And before they rent, then they need to ensure that everything's working properly and whatnot. But I just don't like the idea of us stepping in and telling somebody that owns that house what they have to do when they're renting. And we're kind of a mediator, so to speak, between the owner and the renter. We don't need to be in that business.
Okay, Mr. Prater has had his hand up for a while. Mr. Prater?
I actually have a family member that lives in some rental property out here, and she couldn't get any help from McLennan County. She called them about it, and they wouldn't come out and help. And went over there, and there's literally, to the hot water heater, there's bare wires no wire nuts, they're just twisted together. And no wire nuts, and they're about inch and a half apart from each other. So I see a need for it, but I don't see the need for the intrusiveness. I think if them people had an option to say, hey, I need help over here, can you come and do something for me? We should be able to have that opportunity to say, hey, this person shouldn't have to live like that in our city. That if she needs wire nuts on her electrical system, then we ought to be able to call that landlord and say, look, you need to get this taken care of for these people. I mean, they need some help. My family member needs help, and she couldn't get anything from McLennan County. So they just refused to come out to do it.
Okay, Joyce, you had a question, then Mr. Griffin, and then Mr. McGurr.
Well, just, I've known people who were slumlords. Unfortunately, they were family members, but, and it would have been great to have had this in place, because in one instance, they were dumping sewer in a well that was poisoning our groundwater. It went on for 10, 15 years until we got on the property, which we're on now, and had the well pumped. And we had to go through all this special environmental stuff to get it cleaned up. So it would have been great if the city had had this program, because you would have caught it. And a lot of people, when it's low rent, people, a lot of times, they are in a position where they have a lot of issues. That's why they can't afford a home, they may have family issues or single, and they just really don't pay attention, because their life is in chaos. And so it would be nice if the city stepped in and said, hey, and all due respect, Mr. Prater, Mr. Wiggins, once someone gets into that home, it is much more difficult to get it fixed. That we can catch it before someone moves in and make
That's
that
what he's
landlord
talking about.
accountable. Then when that person moves in, they don't even have to deal with it. And I'm not fully in government. Y'all know me, I'm very, I'm very conservative. But when it comes, when you have rental property, you are a business owner. You are not a homeowner, you run a business.
That's right.
And so businesses have to comply with health ordinances, building ordinances, they have to have inspections and regular audits and all of that, because they are a business. So when you're renting, have a long-term rental property or properties, then you're a business. That's not your personal living quarters, it's not like a B&B or something against a business that you're running and having income from.
That's right.
And so I don't see it as intrusive, I see it as a very helpful thing for the tenant, the possible tenant that would be moving in, that it would actually help them and make our city a nicer place to live and own property and.
Okay, I agree. Okay, Mr. Griffin?
I'm going to agree with you. And I think some of these slumlords, or whatever you want to call them, take advantage of the situation. We have lots of people looking for rent property in Bruceville-Eddy all the time. And these slumlords take advantage of that. Those people need a place to live real bad, so they won't fix what's wrong in that house to get them to live there, because they know they're going to rent it anyway. Yeah. I think do we have a code now for rental property?
No, sir.
I didn't think so. But I think we need one. I definitely think we need one.
Okay. All right. Okay, Mr. McGurr?
I think I'm just going to withdraw my question. Yeah,
Okay.
I think you've
You
answered.
got an answer? Mr. Wiggins?
Okay, you know, I think maybe we could meet somewhere in the middle here. And I agree that there's probably there's certain people that, owners of those rent houses, that, won't do anything, you know? And maybe the, renter tries to get them to do something, but they just throw their feet out and say, I'm not gonna do it. So I don't mind doing something like that for those people that come to us and ask, but for us to just impose it on every rent property, whether it's the good ones or not, I don't like that. So if we could write something up where if they come to us, then I'm for it. But if they don't come to us, just because it's rent property, I don't think we ought to go over and knock on the door and say, push the door open and say, we're here and we're gonna do this inspection.
Yeah.
I
No,
don't think we need
yeah.
that.
Now, what was in the beginning here, what they was trying to get across, if I'm not mistaken, is that if we have this code in place, that people basically have to register saying, I have rental property. And if that rental property is vacant, then we have, as a code enforcer or the city, we can go check that property out to make sure it is up to code to have a renter move in. Because there is a lot of, I mean, I'm elderly, I'm going to admit it. There's a lot of elderly people out here that are set on a set income. They don't have that kind of Social Security and stuff. And so they are afraid to say anything about what conditions they're living in because they don't want to get kicked out. But sometimes I have had 2 elderly people, one was handicapped, come to me to see if there was something I could do about their landlord. And I could not. So I could not, I told him, I said, we don't have a code, you know. We can't come out there and inspect it without the landlord giving us the authority to come in there. Okay. Now, I think Mr. McGurr had a question, and then this young lady, or this gentleman right here had one.
I think it's more of a comment, and I kind of agree with what you're saying is, if you have people living in a low rent residence, and they're just barely making it by to be able to live in the residence, they're going to be fearful of coming and calling the city, because that's really what I was thinking about, was having that, so we had some office within the city here that could contact and would have the authority to go out and look at this, inspect it, and then essentially notice the landowner this needs to be fixed. And as I reflect on this, you know, when you're desperate and you want a place to stay, you really don't want to aggravate the man or the person that's renting to you, because now you don't have a place to stay, but it's up to code, you know, because they're going to tell you to leave. So I, in the back of my mind, this appears to be overreaching, in that, you know, there's a lot of inspection process here, a lot of registration process here, but it sounds like in the community here that we need that ability to overreach and go in and assist these people without it looking like that person came to us and said, I need help. And so this would take it off of them and put it on the city.
Yeah.
And so that's my opinion on it.
Okay. What is your name again, sir? I'm sorry.
Rick Edmondson.
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 Okay.
Okay, but what I'm catching here is, this is not that we're, somebody here in the county call and say, look, I need y'all to come out and look at this. This is to get an inspection done before tenants move in.
Yes.
And I agree with that. That way, we can make the landlord get these things up to code, fix
Before.
things before tenants go in.
Yes, sir.
And you get it done then, and then you won't have as many problems with the people as are already in there.
Yes, sir. I believe that's correct.
But you're not gonna be able to go up, knock on doors and say, we need to
Oh,
get your house.
no, sir. It's before somebody moves in. They register as a landlord, as a business owner, a landlord, and then they're inspected to make sure that their property is up to code before it is rented, to the best of the ability.
Life safety issues.
Life safety issues only, yeah.
But just to be clear, I mean, what he's stating there is before anybody moves in, that's when you go in and inspect. So anybody that's already living in one, and there's one right now, and it's in bad shape, like Richard's talking about, then we can't do nothing about that. That's what you just told this man, because it was gonna be just anybody that moved in. That's wrong, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's very hard to do something once somebody's already moved in.
Yeah.
It's extremely
Okay,
hard.
so you're saying that it'll just be for the houses that's vacant and they're going to rent?
In our implementation,
Strategy
word
to
right there.
implement.
Implementation.
yes. It would take a while before every rental property came under this program. Houses that are currently being lived in, I'm not asking to go in and knock down doors and say, you know, your bathroom, your closet lights are wrong. They're not up to code. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to get ahead of tomorrow. That's basically what I'm trying to do.
Okay, so if somebody calls you and says, if we put this ordinance in place and somebody calls you that's currently living in one and says, man, this stuff ain't up to code and whatever, can you come look at it? Is there anything you do then?
I would tell them what I tell them today. There's a Texas Renter's Guide,
Okay.
and there are steps that they would have to take. Once they've already become an occupant of that place, it is extremely hard for someone of my, as a code enforcement officer or a building inspector, it's hard for me to move forward once they're already occupied, once they're already there. Issues and problems that they have, there are steps to make a landlord do things, just as there are steps for a landlord to make a tenant do stuff. But they are slow and red taped.
So just remind everybody real quick, what we're talking about tonight is not necessarily all the specifics. We knew this would be a hot topic to discuss, so we in our implementation strategy here, we provided lots of time. What we would like to do is, you know, after this meeting, if council gives us the authority, we would check with our city attorney, make sure that there's even an ability for a general law A city to move forward with this. After we check that box, we would begin engaging with some of these landlords, property management companies, hear their, you know, what they would like to see from a program, and then potentially implement a town hall or a public hearing at a future council meeting, actually bring an ordinance before council so you can see in black and white what this would look like. And then from there, make some comments, suggestions, debate that out a little bit further. We would, you know, take that information, put it into the ordinance as you have voted on and see fit. We would do a second reading of that ordinance. And then eventually, if we continue on this track, we would like to see a commencement goal of October 1st, 2023. This is all going to kind of play into our budget season as well, so there's still a lot to discuss on this one.
Mr. McGurry, you have one more question?
Yeah, one more thing is, as we're doing this investigation, it was my understanding when Pam asked, do we have an ordinance here for renters? And we don't. We don't have a standards ordinance. And I don't know that it's not unreasonable for us to actually establish a standards ordinance. So a landlord can be held to comply with this ordinance. So at least it gives the code enforcement officer some kind of teeth to go when he gets involved in this, because you get involved in this and really what are you doing? You're just going to go out there and say, I want you to fix this, but you don't have an ordinance really to back you up on standards other than health and safety issues. So I think we should also look at maybe as part of this process, establishing an ordinance that allows us to give some kind of structure to this process?
Well, on that one, we would be enforcing the general property maintenance code, right, that's currently adopted.
Yes.
It's the 2021 version, so we do have that ordinance in place, and that would be what we utilize to create, say, an inspection checklist that we utilize in that process.
So, all right, then I'm going to ask, is there a show of hands to, y'all think this is something that we need to check on and go forward with, maybe back in
Yeah, like the plan said.
October?
I'm
Okay.
for that.
No.
Check with our attorney.
Check with the attorney,
Yes.
so everybody agrees that we should go forward?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. if
Okay,
somebody
make a
wants to
motion that we
second
go
it,
forward.
we Move
Okay.
forward with this and the implementation.
Okay, and
Of
with,
some
after
kind.
talking to the attorney and
I
stuff.
second.
And Prater seconded. Okay, all in favor? Okay. Miss, did you have something else, Jess? Yes, ma'am? Okay.
Have you checked with any other cities as to any, what they do?
We have actually reached out to an old, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I've checked with a good buddy of mine I used to work with who actually established the rental inspection program in Rowlett about 4 or 5 years ago. We had a conversation with him several months ago on that. He's now doing some consulting work, and he offered to kind of help us and put us in the right path with everything. The city I just moved from, they're currently working on an inspection process for this as well. And then I just kind of researched around some of the smaller cities to see if they had anything, and most of them that I checked on do not. So
Yes, ma'am.
I stole some of these slides from
Yeah.
from those cities. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay.
It's not plagiarism when it's public information, is it?
That's right. All right, number 15, Atmos Energy Corporation Mid-Tex 2023 Rate Review. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on the, is that Atmos Energy Corporation Mid-Tex 2023 Rate Renew Mechanism filing notice. Get there.
All right, Mayor, Council, I wanted to bring this to your attention. Atmos Energy, they plan on, they're requesting an annual revenue increase. Cities are required, they are the original jurisdiction over the rates, not necessarily for the natural gas, but for the delivery mechanisms to get that into the homes and businesses. Every year they do this process. I'm not sure if it's kind of been brought up before, but you'll see here that Atmos Energy is requesting in Mid-Tex for the bills to go up about $7.41 a month for the average residential customer, and then $27 a month for the commercial customer.
Okay.
Right now, there's a committee that's going to be meeting on these rates. They could reject this completely, and then we would be subject to those better rates that kind of come out of that mediation process. But I just wanted to make sure you're aware, give you an opportunity to kind of discuss this, because the actual rates will be up for approval, I think, around October or so.
All right. Mr. Wiggins?
Well, I'm clear that we don't really have to make any
Motions on this? No, sir.
decision right now, because it sounds like it's gonna be presented in September.
Yes.
That's correct.
Anybody that's on gas, yeah.
Of course, if y'all want to have any discussion on whether or not you like this, or if you find it reasonable, I can certainly do some more research into what process it might look like for the city to be a part of the rate process, rate review process.
All right, we'll move on. Okay. Number 16, ordinance amendment discussions, fireworks sales. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action to provide staff with further directions on the amendment of the Code of Ordinance allowing for the sales of fireworks within the city limits of Bruceville-Eddy, specifically to Falls County.
Thank you, Mayor. Once again, so this was a council-requested agenda item here. I think we had a local business that was looking into potentially doing some fireworks sales in the area, and so the topic came up. Our fireworks ordinance, it was originally adopted in 1977. You can see there it's Article 5.02, Section 003. It prohibits the possession, sale, use, transport, and manufacture of fireworks within the city limits. So the discussion tonight, we don't have an exact ordinance to amend this just yet, but we just wanted to give council an opportunity to provide some direction on this one. The conversation would be to allow for sales of fireworks within the city limits. Pam had the idea to maybe limit that just to Falls County. Just so everybody is aware, Falls County has passed a resolution which would allow fireworks sales outside of the traditional New Year's Eve and 4th of July seasons. That's Texas Independence Day, Memorial Day, and San Jacinto Day. This is an action that can only be amended through ordinance. We would have to get the city attorney on this one to develop something like this. I actually consulted with him a little bit on there, and he actually hadn't heard of a city wanting to kind of go and allow for sales within the city limits. And also, he didn't know how that would work if we were just limiting it to one county only. So he would have to do a little bit of research on that one. A couple more items on this one. The sales, if a fireworks stand were in here, the sales would be subject to our sales tax. The fireworks sales itself would be licensed through Texas Department of Insurance. And then any building that were to go up would still have to go through our codes and permitting process unless they were looking for some sort of temporary unit. I'm sure Thomas could talk a little bit more how that process might look. So my recommendation on this one is to receive recommendations from the city attorney and then develop an ordinance based on his guidance, if that's the pleasure of the council.
Does anyone have any questions about this? Mr. Wiggins?
You know, I do think that we don't need to limit it to this Falls County. You know, we've got 3 counties here that we're dealing with, McLennan, Falls, and Bell. And so I'd say with this within our city limits, but I would like to see what the attorney says about it. I'm not sure why other cities don't have it within their cities. Got to be some reason. Only thing I can think of is some type of liability, but I'm not sure about that. But I'd be willing for you to check with
on
our
it.
city attorney and see what he says. Just because if we say that they can sell them,
Don't mean they can pop them.
yes, don't mean that they can,
Pop them.
you know,
That's right.
pop them.
So our city attorney is actively
That's a
working on
county
this one.
ordinance.
Yeah, they're gonna buy them and bring them to our city. I mean, if we can,
So why can't we get
if
money
we
out
can
of
get
it?
some tax revenue off of it, I'd be game for it. But either way, they're gonna come into our city, whether we sell them or not.
Butch, you have a question? Since you're the fire department?
You're talking about sales only here.
Yes.
The city has an ordinance about igniting fireworks in there.
Right, it is illegal.
Not gonna change that, right?
It's not gonna
No,
change that, no, sir.
No.
That, because McLennan County puts that on us too.
Buildings that are explosive being put in the city makes me nervous.
Yeah. Yeah, Falls County last year, during our drought that we had, McLennan County said no sales or popping fireworks inside the county. But Falls County sold them at the fire station, said you can buy them here and pop them. So, but not here. It's just too much. Oh, you're going to hear them. And where I live right in the city limits, I can hear them. Yeah, can't you hear them by your house too? Yeah. It's either that or a gun, so I'm hoping it's a fireworks.
Fireworks would be better than gun.
No doubt.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, Mr. Wiggins?
I'll make a motion that we have the city administrator get with our city attorney about this and then get back to the council.
Okay,
Second that.
all right. Wiggins and McGruer? Okay, that we will do a further action on this to discuss the amendment of a code of ordinance, having the city administrator get with our city attorney to see what our liabilities and stuff would be for
Yeah,
this,
for selling
for selling fireworks inside the city limits.
inside the city limits.
Yes, sir. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. Number 17, Friendly Oaks and West Ridge water plants repair to groundwater wells. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action to address electrical and mechanical issues at the Friendly Oaks water plant site and the West Ridge water plant site that has resulted in their inoperability. Reviews of recommendation for engineer or protection to prevent future outage of equipment, including the approval of any needed repairs and/or upgraded and their related expenditures.
That was also a tongue twister.
Yes, it was.
Sorry, I
I'm
have to
getting there.
rework that. Just trying to keep us legal on these agenda items. So water plant issues. We've still got 2 water wells down. It's very unfortunate. But just to kind of rehash and catch everybody up here. So we've got Friendly Oaks and West Ridge wells down. Over the past 5 months, we've had a total of 6 separate motors become overheated. The cause is due to electrical fluctuations. We've got poor distribution coming in via unbalanced power. There could have been a potential for lightning strikes, but again, 6 motors going out over a 5-month period. I've made numerous calls to all of our surrounding cities, and they're dealing with the same issues, if not more so than we have been. So the former on this one is more likely the given all of our evidence here. So the root cause analysis on this one, I did perform that. 0 to little protection on our well sites for single phasing or surging power events has caused these motors to overheat. On the next one here, oh, sorry, Danielle, I did that one.
Okay, I want to say something on
I have
that
some power,
right
too.
quick. During the time that TECQ was out here and checking all of our spots and stuff, just so happens that there was no lightning or no storm or anything in place, nothing, no lightning coming, and this took effect right there at one of the wells. The poles caught on fire. They had to come out, cut the top of the pole out because it was on fire, and the 2 cross arms burnt down, and they had to replace those. And that they kept telling us it was probably lightning. That tells you it was not. Sorry, didn't mean to do this, Mr. Kent.
No worries on that one. So I'll speak a little bit about the timeline here. I think we had a question.
Yes,
You want to
sir.
hold off on that one, sir? Okay. So our overall timeline, going back to 2020, this Friendly Oaks well, new pump and motor placed into service. And then here in December, we had Friendly Oaks and West Ridge wells go down within a few days of one another. This is also the same weekend that Bluebonnet had a pump go down. This was during that hard freeze time that we had. Likely, there were some increases in electrical usage across the distribution system. Might have been related there. No way of really telling here. 120 Friendly Oaks well, we got the soft start transformer, which was recommended to us to prevent potentially this motor from overheating. At this time, we had only had 2 motors go down, right? So, you know, our hairs were raised that there was some sort of issue due to electricity here, but we thought that this would be a good step in the right direction and that our wells would be somewhat protected. West Ridge well was put back into service in February 2020, or February 21st of 23. This is the first time it got back up and running since December. And then just a little bit earlier there, we had Friendly Oaks go back into operation. However, the booster pumps went out simultaneously. So that one actually didn't go back online until February 25th. And then in March, about a month later, we potentially might have had a lightning strike. I did talk to the neighbors around Friendly Oaks site. One of them might have heard a large boom or something like that. The other neighbors don't recall hearing anything on that one. 317 Westridge well pumped only half of its typical usage, and there was no water pumped after that. 320, so about 3 days later, is when Friendly Oaks well stopped pumping water. And so when we were talking to our reps on this one, they said that there is a potential after a surging event, a single phasing event, or a lightning strike for the pump to actually run just a little bit longer as the wires on those motors start to unfray and unravel, and then just result in them no longer performing. Danielle, you mind going one more for me? I lost the ability. Okay, so on 321, I met with Gene, Alliance Electrical Group. We had Heart of Texas out. They began diagnosing these issues, went ahead and let the mayor and council know that these wells were back down. 322, I spoke with a manager over at Heart of Texas Co-op. They checked our incoming voltage. They said everything looks fine. They only take readings every 15 minutes, and if you know anything about electricity, problems can happen in milliseconds. And they mentioned that to us, but they went ahead and put a new meter out at Friendly Oak site just to see if they could get a little bit more data going forward. On 323, I let council and the community know about these problems we were having. A little bit further down the road, on 327, Friendly Oaks pump was pulled by Jurgensen, and that's when they actually were able to take that initial picture, and then you could see on the motor casing, there's actually a hole blown on that one. So due to that, this motor would not be able to be submitted for warranty. But Chris from Jurgensen said he really doesn't see this a whole lot with single phasing events, but it's obviously an electrical issue here. On 328, we had a joint meeting with MRB Group and Jurgensen Pump on these electrical issues, and then MRB actually went to each one of our well sites to begin coming up with some recommendations on how to protect us even better than into the future. 330, Westridge motor was pulled for pump inspection. The motor was sent off for warranty. There was no damage into the casing. The wire did test bad. Mr. Wiggins, I know you had some questions on this one. So they did an ohms test on that one, and 2 of the legs were not where they were supposed to be on that one. That's why they're recommending that full wire replacement.
That wire, that brand new wire.
Yes, sir.
$6,700.
Yes, sir.
Now we're gonna spend another $6,700.
Yes, sir. On 4.5, 4.6, we were able to get council out there to all of our facilities to take a look, everybody who was interested, to take a look at some of the problems we're having firsthand, you know. A lot of the times we're just talking about it in here, and they haven't had the opportunity to actually, you know, put a name to the face, if you will. On 4/19, that was the day we had that TCQ inspection, and the power line fires occurred over at Friendly Oaks. That just kind of solidified, you know, the mindset that we're having some electrical distribution issues here. 4/21, I did receive a list of electrical protection recommendations from MRB Group. And then on that following Monday, I was able to schedule some walkthroughs with vendors to start getting some quotes. Danielle, you mind clicking into that slide again so I can get this thing going again? There you go. Thank you. So here's some photos of the Friendly Oak site. This one is our big priority. You can see there on the right-hand side, that is our electrical panel box. That looked totally different a few months ago. The equipment was pretty outdated for the soft start transformer. There was probably some issues in the past. You can see some blackness down there at the bottom of the panel. The middle one there is our meter coming in from Heart of Texas. That's the new one that they've replaced to give us some more data, hopefully. And then on the far left-hand side, you'll see the pole going from the transformers into our utility boxes there. Okay, just a reminder here, as far as sourcing goes, Bluebonnet is our biggest source of water. Talbert Well is our second largest source. Friendly Oaks is our third largest, and then Westridge comes in at the bottom. So comparisons per minute there, just to kind of give you some more information about just their capacity to provide to our total distribution. So right now we've got Talbert Well and Bluebonnet providing for all of the water in our system. So we're still waiting a proposal by MRB Group for the implementation of all these recommended electrical upgrades. I've been told that they're going to line item this out so that, you know, we can kind of pick and choose what we want. Wallace Electric, they're the ones that Lorena actually engaged with in 2020 to get what's called a variable frequency drive and a sine wave filter. So they have said that this has worked wonders for them. When I called Wallace Electric, I didn't even have to say anything. They knew exactly the problem we were having, and they already said that this VFD with the sine wave filter is going to be our solution. Now, no solution is going to give us 100%. I've been told that by multiple folks. But this is also the option that several other cities are looking into. Robinson's got a groundwater well that just got back up and running. They had to do some wiring and transformers out there, but I believe they're researching one of these. Bellmead is also researching one of these. We also have Gordian. We're scheduling a inspection with them next week so they can come out and give us a quote as well. Yes, sir. Do you have a question?
Yes, sir.
On
You had
the-
a
Did,
audience.
back up one, if you will,
Yes, sir.
that Wallace Electric at Lorena, didn't Lorena have an issue with theirs or not?
Yes, sir. They were having some issues as well.
At the same time?
Similar, I believe. When I talked to the city manager over there, Mr. Kevin Neal, he was already on board with what we were talking about, and he said that they've had night and day experience since installing one of these on their bigger well.
All right. You had a question, sir? Make a comment?
So Encore and part of Texas would kind of give you all a runaround on the actual delivery of electricity as far as their voltage fluctuation situation.
That's true. Yes, sir. So a little bit further into this issue, I know this is a long one here. I just wanted to give you all as much information so we can make informed decisions. Both of these well failures will be submitted as insurance claims. We did not do that on the last run. There is a deductible. Of course, this could potentially make our rates go up, all that, et cetera, but happening 2 times in a year, I think it's the right move. The pumps will be reused, so those are brand new, as of February, so we're going to reuse those. Our well repair budget, however, is already 187% over for the fiscal year. And then I just wanted to mention Chris with Jurgensen Pump. He is available to answer questions specific to this if y'all have any tonight. He said he would make himself available via phone. So here's what we've got cost quotes to date. West Ridge well, about $20,000 here. So this is the cost to reinstall the well with a new motor and wiring. If warranty, however, covers the cost of the motor, Jurgensen Pump has stated that they will comp all of our field labor service because, we've been a good customer with them and they made that offer to us. So certainly appreciate them. However, I'm not recommending a reinstall of this pump and motor until we get some electrical upgrades protection there. This quote does not address the root cause. Friendly Oaks well, $41,950. This is again the cost to reinstall the well with a new motor. The wiring on this one should be good. This one, of course, is not covered by warranty because the motor casing was blown. Again, this one does not address the root cause here. We've got a couple other quotes in your packets there. This is some recommendations to give us some more insight on what's going on with our wells. One is for $9,200 with a yearly subscription for cell service. This is going to be to install a component for Talbert well and I think I got these backwards actually. I'm sorry about that. Yes, I've got these backwards. So that $9,200 goes with Talbert well and the $3,100 goes with Friendly Oaks. Did I get that right, or am I backwards again?
No,
Talbot well is less.
the 9,200 is Friendly Oaks.
Okay, I had it right.
You
I
have
have
it
it right
right.
on there. Ooh,
Yeah,
brain's starting
Talbot
to get
well
fried
is
on this one. So this one for Talbot well is going to inform staff of any overflows, low levels, well faults, that sort of thing. And then the one for Talbot well is going to be just a liquid level relay. It's a additional component to the current sensitive phone out there, and it will inform staff of any potential overflow to the storage unit, preventing future water loss. Again, both of these do not address the root cause. So I have not gotten a single quote yet as what it would take for a variable frequency drive or any other upgrades to, say, protect against lightning, right? Based on conversations, one VFD will likely be between $30,000 to $50,000, so it's significant, right? This will be the cost to install those things with a sine wave filter, and it will also include some sort of housing for this equipment to protect it and provide it with climate control, AC. This is what I've been told, this is a must to have this unit last over the long term. What I have been told on that note, which is good news, because I know I'm giving you lots of bad news here, it will actually end up cutting our electricity consumption at the sites, because that VFD is actually going to tell the motor when to come on and off, and if there's any fluctuations in that power, it's not going to allow it to ramp up. So what other customers have seen is upwards of half of their electricity usage they've been able to knock out. So we should be able to hopefully recoup some of these costs over time. This does and will address the root cause. Danielle, you mind going one more for me? So let's talk bare bones and funding for this one, because I've already mentioned that our budget is blown for the year, right? So the funding for replacement on this one, I'm asking to come out of our earmarked comprehensive water projects for the year. We set aside a lot of money specifically to deal with Falls County for this year. This obviously was unexpected, right? But it has become a priority because it's one of our main water sources here. So what I'd like to do is any of the costs associated with upgrading these protections and monitoring at the well, we'll charge them to the same line item, but those can actually be tallied and allocated to our coronavirus local relief funding, our grant that we have on hand that needs to be completely spoken for by December 31st of 2024. So my recommendation, my final comments on this one, I'd like to prioritize the protections at Friendly Oaks Well because it has a much bigger capacity than what we're talking about at West Ridge. Well, utilize those monies that are already budgeted for the year to address these problems. And then what I'm requesting in pre-authorization here is to spend up to $49,999, just below that bidding threshold, for the VFD and the filter at Friendly Oaks well site only. I'm also asking for approval of those current quotes for the site monitoring via Alliance, approval of the associated costs with reinstalling Friendly Oaks well site after the VFD has been installed. What I'm going to be doing here, if it pleases council, is to go with the lowest cost. However, I will be looking for the fastest delivery. I've been told that these VFD units can take potentially months to get here and get installed. And I don't want us buying Blue Bonnet all throughout the summer. I think that would be an unnecessary cost here. So I'm trying to balance those things. So furthermore, I'll bring forth any quotes for West Ridge that we get for any of those protections and all other potential protections for council for further consideration and discussion. Again, no solution will offer 100% protection, but I'm confident that this pathway will get us to a good point where we can all sleep at night knowing our wells are protected from those electrical problems. So here's the motion I'm requesting. Authorize the city administrator to purchase a VFD and sine wave filter in that amount. For Friendly Oaks well site, the Sensiphone upgrades as currently quoted by Alliance Electrical Group for Talbert and Friendly Oaks wells, and the reinstallation of wells via Jurgensen pump only after protections have been installed at each well site in amounts not to exceed the amounts currently quoted for said services. And with that, I will answer any questions, concerns that you may have.
Mr. Wiggins?
Okay. Well, on both wells so far this year, if we do the work that's quoted as also, that's gonna put us over $183,000 we spent this year. And so I think this is gonna be money well spent, because we spent gonna spend that much money to have them operational in about a 5-month period. So why do we wanna possibly have to spend that much more in another 5 months? That's crazy. So, I mean, I'm good to make this motion, as stated here. I'm just gonna say that to keep me from having to read it all, but, I don't mind reading it if you want me to.
That's quite all right, sir.
Okay.
I'll second.
Mr. Prater seconded, Wiggins, okay? That we go by what is up there under the.
Yes,
water
authorize,
regulations.
I'll just go ahead and read it. Make the
Motion
motion to
request-
authorize the city administrator to purchase a VFD and sine wave filter in amount not to exceed $49,999 for the Friendly Oaks well site. The Sensiphone upgrades is currently quoted by Alliance Electrical Group for Talbert and Friendly Oaks, and reinstallation of wells via Jurgensen pump only after protections have been installed at each well site and not to exceed the amounts currently quoted for said services.
All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Okay. 18. Ordinance amending the Code of Ordinance and Master Fee Schedule. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on Ordinance 4-27-2023-1, changes to the city's Code of Ordinance and Master Fee Schedule, updating and adding fees for building, construction, and development-related fees, adding inspection schedules to building regulations. Okay, is that
Somebody's gonna have to explain to me what
what that
that means.
means?
You bet you, sir. I'll hop
Okay,
into
Mr.
it.
Arnold? Oh,
You want me to hop into it real
Oh,
quick?
okay.
Okay. So this was driven by our community development department. There was a need to update some of these fees to get them more in line with fees that other cities are experiencing and with the cost of actually providing these inspections, right?
Correct.
Because we can't do them all in-house. Some of it we do have to get some help on. So you can see here on the slide all the items that have changed. Mechanical is increasing. Concrete and fence, we're establishing a minimum there. Currently, it was like for the fence, it was just like 25 cents a foot or something like that, if I remember correctly. Pool increases for above ground and in ground. We're adding a alternate energy inspection. So right now, we didn't have any inspections for solar panels or windmills, if that's happening a lot across the city. I'm not sure. That'd be pretty
That
cool.
one has
but
not happened yet.
Not that one
Solar
yet, but we're
panels are
ready.
starting to come
We're
popular.
starting to prepare. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And then one of the other big components that we had some issues with were manufactured homes. When a new one comes into the city, we thought that it was a little unfair to charge them the full amount of fees that, say, a single-family home was getting charged. And then what happens if there's a replacement or a swap out of that? So we established some fee structures that are kind of more in line with the actual inspections being provided. And then lastly there you'll see that we added an accessory building inspection fee. And then Danielle, if you want to go one more, I'll finish up and let Thomas chime in too. So this also is going to add schedules for better clarification on the inspection process. And it kind of does so in a good amount of grouping there to allow construction representatives and homeowners as well know just what all those inspections entail, right?
Mr. Arnold? Anybody have a question for him, or you have something you want to say, sir?
I'll take any questions that you may
Okay.
have.
Mr. Wiggins?
Okay, you know, first off, whatever we do, I'd like for it to be in here that anything, prior to the date of the enactment of this ordinance that is grandfathered. I don't wanna have somebody to, you
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
When it comes to these kind of codes, the only time you have to update is when you go to remodel something. So in other words, if your house was built in 1971 and it followed 1971 codes, only if you decide to remodel something will it kick in today's codes.
Okay.
But
So
we're talking
and
specifically
a
about
legal-
the fees here, right?
Cor-
So that's
correct.
going forward, right?
Yes. That's what I was, yes.
Oh, sorry.
Lost.
Codes is a separate issue as what we're doing here today. This is about fees.
Yeah.
So anybody that's already applied for a permit has already paid current fees.
Okay.
Anybody that applies for a permit tomorrow, if y'all allow it, will pay these fees.
Okay, well,
And
from
ha-
what I see on these fees, I mean, like, on the mechanical, we went from $85 to $190. That's a $105 increase. And then, I don't see nothing bad with the fence, you know, still went with, minimum was $25 and we went to $50. But the swimming pool went from $50 for an in-ground to $340.
Correct.
That's a $290 increase for an in-ground pool.
Yes, sir.
And then on above ground, went from $30 to $85, so $55 increase. And then on that, and we added quite a few different ones, alternative energy systems, customer service inspection, new manufactured home, replacement of a manufactured home, accessory buildings. So if somebody puts a
Storage
if
building?
200 square feet or greater, it's $85. That's with no electrical or plumbing. So let's say it's 200 feet or greater, an accessory building, and it has electricity. How much now is that going to cost?
It's gonna include an electrical permit.
So it's going to have to pay the $85 and then an electrical permit.
Correct.
How much is that?
$160.
How much?
$160.
Or a little, gotta add a little outside building, having to have a permit.
Actually, what I did there was I changed the current to less than 200 is free and more than 200. It already, if you put in, yesterday, if you would have applied for a permit to put in an accessory building with electricity, you would already pay that price. Tomorrow, if you apply for if you pass this, if you apply for accessory building under 200 square feet with no electricity, the permit is free. If you apply for one for 200 or more, you still pay the electrical permit fee. It's currently already on the books. I can talk about the manufactured home that you brought up. We currently don't, we would use what we currently would use would be for a manufactured home to be installed, regular building fees, square footage, et cetera. I don't inspect manufactured homes, so the price is actually reduced to electrical and plumbing permit, bringing it to $320. A replacement, what I would call a plug and play, if you take a manufactured home out and you bring a manufactured home in, is only $85 because I'm not having to inspect the ground wires or the septic plumbing. All you're doing is you're plugging and play. You're putting a new home in the same spot. You're plugging in to your electricity that you used to have, and you're plugging into the sewer that you still have. Only $85. It's a one-time. It's one inspection.
What is that now?
What is?
No, in other words, if somebody did that now, same
340.
thing, replaced
I
the
just did it.
manufactured home.
$340, I just did it.
$340.
Oh, yeah?
I'm the one that asked for that plug and play.
Mr. Prater recently replaced his manufactured home, and it cost him $340.
Okay, but now in this case, if we
It
did
would have only cost him $85.
Okay.
But that's the only thing that's gone down.
But see, that's,
Okay.
let her ask her question.
Ms. Wiggins, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question that's kind of twofold. First of all, where did we come up with the new rates? Would you come up with that? And then what is the purpose of this? Is it just to get more revenue for the city?
No, I came up with the rates by comparing it to the other cities around us. And I also used the rates in how many times I would have to go out to inspect the property. Like the in-ground pool, the reason it goes up to $350, before The city was not inspecting. They weren't doing all the inspections required. There are a minimum of 3 to 4 inspections for an in-ground pool. In the past, they were doing a final, that's it. Today, I'm requiring people that install pools to do all 4 inspections. That's the reason.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am?
Mr. Prater, you had a question?
Yeah, I asked Mr. Arnold to put that one in on the plug and play, because when I did mine, it was $340. And I asked him, I said, well, if I cut my water line, do I need to come in and get a permit to fix it? And he said, no. Same with the electricity and same with the sewer. I said, well, why do I need to pay $340 to fix my own stuff? I mean, I just cut it off, moved the house out, moved one right back in, hook it right back up. I just didn't want it to happen to somebody else that was changing out a house, to have to pay the $340 that I had to pay.
And I agree with you.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And on that note,
What's that thing,
the state actually inspects those manufactured homes, which is one of the reasons why we don't really need to go in there and duplicate that work.
Right, it's a state inspection. It can't leave the manufacturer without the state inspection on it, so.
Well, is that the only one that's been reduced?
In a roundabout
Yeah.
way, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Some of them have been reduced, as in the free permit for under 200 square feet of an accessory building. Currently, if you if you want to put in an accessory building, accessory structure on your property, you would have to pay 20 cents a square foot. Now, you don't, if it's under 200 square feet. If it's over 200, if it's 200 square feet or more, then yes, there's a permit fee required. If you're asking why, because that's a size that at that point in time it becomes visible, really visible. If you have an 8x8 shed, definitely under 200 square feet, it's not as visible. It's not a hazard. It doesn't become an issue as easily. If it's over 200 square feet, that's a building. That requires a firm foundation. It requires a real floor. It requires a roof. It requires things to keep it safe and pretty.
So all storage buildings have to have a concrete foundation
No.
if they're over 200
Negative.
square foot? Okay,
It has to have a foundation, not a concrete foundation.
okay, just a foundation.
What we're doing here is, we're saying that you can bring in, replace that manufactured home, and it's gonna have electricity and water in it for $85. But you put in a little old 200 square foot little thing, go put the lawnmower in, don't have no electricity and water, we're still gonna charge you $85 for that. Well, it shouldn't be the same as that manufactured home, let's go down on the price of that.
I'm open to suggestions, but either way, it's going to require an inspection.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, the price, you see what I'm saying?
Right.
$85 for a whole manufactured home.
It's one
It's got
inspection.
electricity and water, or a little 200 square feet shed, and we're gonna charge $85 for it, and they don't have no electricity or water. That seems
Yeah.
bad.
So maybe we need to put this on the back burner and cuss and discuss the prices and stuff and see what we come up with, and then bring it back to another council meeting?
We can certainly move that way, Mayor, or if there's any specific ones that you'd like to strike and see different prices on, you can make those amendments in the motion tonight, and we can get this squared away and signed off.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions or anything what they want to make amendment, or do they want to? Yes, ma'am.
When's the last time we've had any major increase or change in our fees?
In our fees, was it last year?
Community done over the past, since we've had.
Was it last year, Pam?
It wasn't last year, I think it was the year before.
2 years ago, about 2 years.
So we just,
Amen. Yes, ma'am.
It's not so much to be a revenue generator, it's to be an expense leveler for the city.
Yes, ma'am.
You all go to the grocery store, you all go online and buy stuff.
$600 worth yesterday.
All have seen the cost of increase.
Yes, ma'am.
Go to Bush's Chicken. I don't even know anymore.
That's true. Okay, Joyce?
I have a question on the shed. How many inspections do you do if someone installs a new shed or shop or?
Depends on the design of the shed. If it's pre-bought, pre-built, then it's simply put it down, I come out and make sure you did the pad correctly, and then you're done. If it's a built shed, then it's I come in, inspect your foundation, and then I do a final inspection.
And that,
Be up to 2 or more inspections on one that someone builds in a pre-manufactured one. Now, a manufactured home, the state inspects and you inspect, right? There would be 2.
That's two separate things. A built tough shed that you go to Home Depot or down the street and buy, and they deliver it and they set it. That's different than a manufactured home. Manufactured home is built, and that's state inspected. Sheds, like Tough Shed, they're in-house inspected. They're not inspected like a manufactured home where there's state regulations.
but that's also included on the times you go out, is if there's water to the shed or electricity to that shed, then that has to be inspected also.
That affects the cost.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. If yes, and although the prices are not just to keep me around, but when you start involving adding, that's the key. When you add electricity or you add water, those are separate inspections. When you already have electricity and you already have water, you're just taking a building out, manufactured home out, and you're putting another one in the same place. That's one inspection. I just make sure that they connect it correctly. I don't have to inspect the depth of the electric lines. I don't have to inspect the depth of the water lines coming to the house. I don't have to inspect the depth of the sewer lines going to the sewer, and placement and grade. It's a plug and play is the best way I can explain that. Manufactured home, but an accessory building is different. It's a simpler building unless you add electric or plumbing to it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anybody else have any questions? Mr. Wiggins?
I mean, I guess I'm okay with stuff except that $85 for that little 200 square feet shed.
What?
That's too much. I'd say $25 for the permit. I mean, we're talking about a permit here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd say $25 for that. I think that'll be fair enough.
would you like to make a motion to approve this with that amendment, sir?
Anybody else have anything else they
I
would
have a
like to
question.
amend on this?
I'm okay. I got a question.
Oh, where at? Oh, Miss
Right.
Pam.
The reason why it was set at 85 is because our previous inspector, that's how much it cost for him just to roll the truck out.
Right, oh,
This
yes,
is a permit.
That's what I'm saying.
to inspect it.
The inspection, the permit, they had to pay $85 for permit to be inspected. So that's the least amount he charged to go to residents to inspect something.
Right, but we've got Thomas now.
That's what I'm saying. The reason why it was 85.
Okay.
we'd be okay
You had something, Thomas?
Yes. Okay, I understand I don't want you to be stuck on 200. So when does an accessory building become big enough to charge more? Because whether it's 200 square feet or whether it's 20 square feet, I still have to inspect it at least one time.
I'm just going on what you got wrote here. What you have wrote here is less than 200 square feet, no floor,
Correct.
correct? All right, 200 square feet or greater.
Correct.
That could be 1,000, 3,000,
There are
200 square feet or greater.
actually there are other codes that prevent it from being extremely large.
Okay,
We
well,
have
those other
we
codes
have
come
codes
into
in
play
place.
then.
We have codes in place that prevent you from building on X amount percentage of your property.
Right. These are just the fees, right?
Well, with the permit comes an inspection.
Inspection. that's-
So
that's
the
permit /
permit
inspection.
fee also covers the inspection.
Okay.
So I guess that's, I don't want to disagree with you, but I want to know if 200 is too small, what do I need to move that 200 to? 300, 400 square feet? What size building do we need to move an accessory building to? If you want to make all accessory buildings $25, unless they add plumbing or electric, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess right now, the way it's wrote, Thomas, 200 feet or
Well-
greater, right?
Okay?
200 feet or greater is with no electrical or plumbing, a permit of $25, period. Now, you're wanting to say, do you want to change it if it's 400 feet? Do you want to add more? If you want to do that, then let's just go back to drawing board and you bring it back to us next week.
Go back to one.
Or we can go just
Or we can
$25,
eliminate that
200 square feet or greater what you had wrote down. But if you don't like what you had wrote down for this, then go back to drawing board.
Well, I do have a question. What would be the more cost of the bigger building? Would it put you out more if it was 400 square foot? Would it put you out
No.
more to inspect it?
No, sir.
So the $25 would be okay? I mean,
Yes, sir.
what size building would it be that would put you out to make it rise higher?
The only thing that would make it right higher is adding electric or plumbing.
Okay, so the $25 would be okay for any size?
Yes, sir?
Outbuilding?
But this says no electric or plumbing. Richard, I mean,
Yeah.
in here.
Right.
That's what.
But yeah, I'm saying $25 is okay with you, right?
If it's got electrical or plumbing, then we're talking about different fees.
Okay, I think, yes, I think I got wires crossed, maybe I misunderstood.
Okay.
If you're talking about an accessory building of any size for $25 with no plumbing and no electricity,
That's right, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm 100% okay with that.
Yeah, right.
Mrs. Combs, Pam?
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't it, after certain, we went by square footage is what it should be by the building. So if the building is 3,000 square foot, you take it times $1 and something a square foot, and that's what they pay. So is that something that you're not doing, or by?
Are we talking about accessory building?
Yes, I'm talking about storage shed, accessory building. We always did, if it was it was a flat fee, it was 85, but if it was a big building, it's heaven forbid, somebody can build a 4,000 square foot building, and you're only gonna charge them, what, 25 or 85? It goes by the footage, like a home.
Okay.
I can see
That's
that.
what it should be.
I can see that.
Okay, what if we go ahead and, table the part of it that has for the buildings, and maybe go ahead and make a motion for the rest of it, and then table the building part of it until a later date?
So I think if we did that, we would need to strike that portion from the ordinance, and then you would have to vote on the remaining
Oh,
part, and
okay.
we would need to bring
Okay.
another ordinance back. So we can do that, but we wouldn't be tabling one item.
Table it? Okay.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we table this, and then, for the next meeting, or whenever you wanna bring it up, and let's nail down this accessory building a little bit more in detail.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Griffin seconded. All in favor of tabling this to our next meeting? Unanimous. Thank you, sir. Okay. Now, it is, let's see, what time is it? It is now 8:15, and this meeting is closed due to an executive session. We're going to step to the back into executive sessions to take care of this, and then we will return shortly. So take a pause for the cause. session noted, and our meeting has adjourned.
Well, we don't
No,
have Mr. McGrew.
it's not adjourned.
Not adjourned, it is now, yeah, there you go.
We're waiting on Mr. McGrew.
Okay, that'll give me time
Yeah,
to
we
take a
gotta
sip
wait
of
on
my
him. He's gonna
liquid.
make him.
No, there was nobody yelling, everything went cool. Everything went cool,
Passionate discussion.
yes,
Passionate discussion.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
That is true.
exactly.
I think this is your
Oh.
opinion. Is that yours?
Mr. McGurr will be here in just a moment.
Take it if you don't want it.
We
Well,
kind of kept him
It was
in there
laying
and
here and I
wouldn't
picked
release
it
it.
up. I figured maybe it was yours.
No, they leave his pins out here.
Do they?
We got, you got a lot.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
well, that was fun.
all right, number 19, the city council shall meet in executive session, and this is about employee. This is about employee, there's nothing on the thing, on the agenda. This one right here, or the top? Oh, security, okay. All right, executive session was, we talked about, section 551.076, deliberation regarding security devices for security audits, discussions regarding the development of special occasions for implementation of security personnel or devices and/or a security audit and possible security upgrades, Texas Government Code ANN.551.076. Okay, and we did discuss the personal matters, discussing regarding the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment duties, discipline, and dismissal of a public officer or employee, or to hear a complaint or change a charge against an officer or employee, public works technician, code 551.074. Okay? Anybody want to make a motion?
I'm gonna make a motion.
All right, let's go for it.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion. The motion will be that we accept an upgrade in the security assets for the Public Works Department. The specific details discussed in executive session, and have the chief of police supervise that, those security updates.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Prater seconded. Okay, all in favor? Unanimous, thank you, gentlemen. Okay. All right, and as far as the personal matter goes, that was taken care of in our executive session, and it is not to be talked about in public. So it was taken care of inside. No action taken, so it was all taken care of in the executive session, so.
So just to clarify, no vote was taken in executive session.
Amen. No
Yeah.
votes were taken. We can't vote inside
Right.
the executive decision, but there was no action taken. And yes, we got it. Okay, okay, possible action or issue, discussed in executive session, we got that. Number
I'd
20.
like to make a motion
Yes, sir.
on number 20.
Uh-huh.
That we
We
adjourn.
adjourn. Anybody gonna second
Yeah,
that?
I'll second it.
All in favor? All right, this meeting is now adjourned. Mr. Prater second that, and it is 9:27 PM on Thursday night. Turn your mics off, please.
Be like that Waco meeting.
I don't know how to turn it on.